Everyone has a favorite dinosaur, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of you actually had one of the top 5 or top 10 known dinosaurs as one of your favorite dinosaurs. You have Velociraptor, Tyrannosaurus Rex, Stegosaurus, and hell, even Triceratops. And just like you, I have a favorite dinosaur myself. It's one that's not talked about a lot. It usually gets overshadowed by the 4 I just mentioned, and that would be Allosaurus. Welcome to Jurassicjune. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lizard Gaming. And, well, I bet you didn't expect me to do something about paleontology. If you are new to the channel, welcome. But if you are a viewer who's already been here for a minute, this actually might be as a shock. Jurassicjune? Well, why is this? Well, I've been planning on this for a while, but I just didn't know what I'd be doing. But luckily, there are other people who study and do paleontology who said, you know what, that would be fun to do. And I'm throwing my hat in the ring because I actually love dinosaurs a lot. I grew up on them. And Allosaurus was the basically keystone dinosaur into getting me into paleontology, which is what we're going to be talking about. So how are we going to start this video off? We might as well talk about its discovery during the 19th century. Apparently during the Bone Wars between Edward Drinker Cope and Charles Marsh. In fact, Charles Marsh named it during 1877 because back in those days, what Charles Marsh and Cope did is they had basically placed certain animals or certain fossils into what is essentially waste bin taxa or waste bin names, which is what Allosaurus was back in those days. Even though Allosaurus was a wastebasket name, it still translated to strange lizard or different lizard. And that was not the only thing Charles Marsh actually named and discovered. He named like a couple dozen different dinosaurs. That included Diplodocus, Ichthyornis, which one actually surprised me, and Stegosaurus, Triceratops. And apparently he was also the first one to suggest that dinosaurs were basically birds or ancestors of birds. I am getting ahead of myself, so we should talk about the formation that it was found in, what era it came from, how old some of these fossils are determined. Allosaurus was found in the Morrison Formation, which is New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, all the way up to Montana and Wyoming and a little bit of Alberta. And Allosaurus lived during the Jurassic period, specifically the late Jurassic period, about 155 to 143 million years ago. It was basically the most prominent predator of its time. It only had to deal with only a select few other predators such as Torvosaurus and Ceratosaurus, but even so, it was the most dominant predator of its location. There are 7 different species of Allosaurus, and 4 of them tend to pop out as the most popular of the bunch, but one of them being questionable material. We have Allosaurus fragilis that was named during 1877 by Marsh, and we also have one that was found in Portugal by the name of Europus, and we have Germancini, which is found in the Morrison like fragilis, and the questionable one would be Allosaurus Anax, which was originally named Seraphaganax, until that was proven to be chimeric material due to sauropod bones being thrown into the mix. And when we talk about the size of Allosaurus, it would most likely be fragilis is going to be the one looked up. So when it comes to length of this animal, it would have been around like 35 feet in length, which would roughly be about 7 to 10 meters in length. And about height, Allosaurus is not that massive of an animal. It would have been around 6 to 10 feet in height, which is roughly 1.5 to 3 meters tall. Weight ranges for fragilis would have been actually very odd because we have not really a precise metric on this, but we do estimate it to being 1.7 to 2.3 metric tons, which is kind of interesting. And now onto the skull of the animal. How it's described would be light, robust, and equipped with dozens of sharp teeth, which is not particularly different from a lot of other dinosaurs in the area. But what made it stand out a lot was the lacrimal horns or lacrimal crests that are right in front of the eye sockets and right behind the antorbital fenestra. That is one of the coolest things that had basically evolved into the animal. You see a lot of other dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus rex who have these crests, but they aren't as prominent as in Allosauruses. And you can actually see it in Fragilis and Germansoni. And it most likely was used for a display structure and may have had vibrant colors and during life. Allosaurus had also these really scary, large claws. We're talking about big enough to pin down most large prey, and were sharp enough to skewer a lot of the smaller animals, including a person, if these things were still alive. They were terrifying and probably a lot larger in life because it would have probably had a keratin sheath. Not probably, most likely had a keratin sheath on the claws. Speaking of claws, jaws, and prey, Allosaurus's feeding strategy would have been very similar to that of modern day hawks. What it would most likely do is pin a target to the ground using its claws, biting down and using its powerful neck muscles to just pull away chunks of meat with its serrated teeth, causing huge lacerations and just overall basically eating the animal up while it's still alive. But that's only one feeding strategy that they think Allosaurus does. Another one is a flesh grazer feeding strategy. That one I think is a little bit more questionable. I honestly need to reread on that one. And we do have fossil evidence of Allosaurus's feeding behaviors from scavenging to predation. We actually have Stegosaurus plates that have perfect bite marks from an Allosaurus bite. We also have sauropod bones that have been scavenged on. But that's not all. We do see active damage towards Allosaurus bones as well, from Stegosaurus thagomizer damage in Allosaurus spines to quite literally the most historic crotch shot in the fossil record. It is suggested that that individual of Allosaurus died to infections from the Stegosaurus thagomizer. At this point, I went over all the basics in, well, Allosauruses and whatnot. So I might as well talk about a few holotypes, or at least one of the most famous Allosaurus specimens, Big Al, and Big Al 2. But Big Al 1 is the one that made me really love Allosauruses. And that mostly just came from Ballad of Big Al by BBC's Walking with Dinosaurs series. And that was by far one of the main reasons that got me to love this animal. Even though the documentary is out of date, it still proved like a good keystone into essentially making you understand the animal in its entirety. But what really makes Big Al a very, 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 very awesome specimen is it is a near complete specimen. But one of the major things that make it stand out better than any other Allosaurus, because this is an Allosaurus germanensis, is it has a horribly damaged central toe. And that toe, that damaged toe, was probably the main reason why this poor animal passed away. Oh man, there is a lot to talk about, but I am running low on time, so I might as well try and do some like quick fire rounds or something. There's also the Saurophaganax material, which is actually now called Allosaurus Anax, which is funny because I actually did see a replica skeleton of this so-called Allosaurus down in New Mexico. And it's funny is I actually even pointed it out that it was just straight up an Allosaurus. It's in nothing different. I went down there during 2024 of June to see my aunt. That was awesome. Allosaurus has been in other media besides Walking with Dinosaurs and Ballad of Big Al. I specifically love having them in my zoos for Zoo Tycoon. How should I say, my guests did not like how I treated them with my perfect little pretties. We also have Allosaurus in Jurassic World and the Evolution games as well. I do not like their design. It's don't look all that great. In fact, kinda terrible. Not gonna lie. We also get Allosaurus in Path of Titans in the Isle. Those actually look pretty damn good. I am waiting for Allosaurus in Prehistoric Kingdom, and I am too excited to see if I can get one in Prehistoric Kingdom. I really am. Well, that's all I got for Allosaurus, and a lot of information I could quite literally just put down from sheer memory alone. It's not perfect, and there is a lot of stuff I am missing. But hey, at least I I put something out. I am not used to this kind of format, and I took my shot and see how it goes. I know a lot of you in the comments are going to try and correct me here and there, and I won't be surprised. Like, for instance, Europeus is, heavily fragmentary, and they are considering not having it as an Allosaurus. That's also another thing that's popped in to mind. But even so, I just wanted to make a cool video on Allosaurus and try and do as many of these for every June as possible. And this will actually be a thing. For every June, I am going to do at least 3 different dinosaur videos or dinosaur-related videos for June. So as always, thank you for watching, and hope you have a good one. Safe travels, everyone. Goodbye.